Week 64. Today's tutorial is going to be a little messy, so just bear with me. We're getting ready for a mini musicale next week, and so they'll be choosing two pieces to play next week, and those pieces could include the musical clock, the bear went over the mountain, bagpipe, or any other piece, just one other piece other than those. Or they can play a scale with chords. So if your child has been running behind, say they're still transitioning into school or they just haven't gotten to the piano yet, they could at least play a scale with chords and maybe play another piece from last year. That would get their fingers going. Of course, another option is they could play the musical clock and the bear, or they could play the musical clock and bagpipe, or they could play bagpipe and another piece they may have learned on their own or through other sources. So I'm opening up the field to a lot, but I am limiting it to two pieces. So look at the homework assignment and you're going to see that it says specifically two pieces, okay? And they're going to circle their choices. So I'm giving them a lot of latitude, but I'm also limiting them to two. All right, let's go through this thing, and we have the scale in F. That's not new. I have it following by the 1, the 4, the 5, 7, and the 1. Also, I'm asking them to review any scales, and by now that's a ritual every week. They're going to now do improvisations on drums, exercise 2, which is super easy. They just put it on. It's in triple rhythm, and what they're getting this week is a new card. So I want to show you briefly what this means. So last year they got cards that looked like this. These were the green triple rhythm cards. And in these green triple rhythm cards you may have seen, you may have noticed that they have a certain rhythm. And in this case, this one says, doo-da-dee, doo-da-dee. Now, in music, it's very common that they're going to see a rhythm that looks like this, and it's usually in a 6/8 time. However, music, well, I wish to say music, expresses a lot more than what notation can show us. And so when we see 6/8 time, we feel differently from when we see something in 3/4 time. And so today I'm introducing them notation that looks different, such as this one, but sounds the same. Isn't that interesting? This tends to be music that tends to be a little bit slower. It tends to be in a waltz dance, where music like this, with this kind of notation, tends to be faster. It's a different dance form called jig, or it's going to have a different feeling. And so a piece like this will have doo-da-dee, doo-da-dee. And a piece like this is also going to express doo-da-dee, doo-da-dee. However, most likely this music will be a bit slower. All right, so what they're going to be given are new red cards so that they become familiar with this notation. And today we're going to take these cards and we're going to compare them. So that's what you see on the wall here. And then when they go home, they have an important listening assignment where they're going to become familiar with these red cards. And so they're going to get them today. All right, so that's what that means at the bottom for listening and notation game. 3/4 triple song rhythm game. Don't skip that one. Just put it on and listen on in. All right, so they're working on their musicale. They've done their scale. They've improvised. They've listened. They also listen to Handel's water music. These are all wonderful things to do. And then they get a writing assignment called non-harmonic tones. And I do want to show you this. I'm going to put it on the piano because I seem to be getting a funny something here. All right, so here we are. And we've got this new assignment called non-harmonic tones. Number 1. And what they've been told up to now is that sound, when they improvise, they've been told, like, if they're improvising with the one chord, to use do, mi, so, and they create melodies using these 3 notes. And then they would do the same for a 5, 7, and a 4 chord. But as you notice, these are not as melodious as they could be. So what we're introducing is what is called a passing tone, which is a note between two sounds. So between do and mi is a re. So they may want to add, instead of doing, they may want to change it to 2, And so they have created a melody that has more interesting line. And so, again, a passing tone is a sound that's between two sounds. Do, mi, do, re would be the passing tone. Mi. It's not part of the chord, but it does work. Another passing tone could be between mi and so. Mi, so, mi, fa, so. Now, they have to not only recognize the sound, but also find ways to add these tones in this selection. And we will do a couple of them in class. Another tone that they may be looking for is what's called a neighboring tone. Now you may say, what's the difference? Because a fa could be a passing tone or a neighboring tone. The difference is that if you are returning back to the same tone, then it's like you go next door to borrow sugar and then you've come back home. So here's a neighbor tone. Notice the sound went up and then back down, whereas a passing tone, you've moved on to a new tone. So there's one sound having two different functions, and they're going to look for them in this homework. Finally, they have one more thing to do, another writing, and that is to finish writing the chords on page 39. And this is Twinkle Twinkle, even though it's called À vous dire que j'aime maman. It is which we did in dictation in class, and then I asked them to find chords that would go with it. And then I'm going to ask them to write out the chords. Now they could also write in an arrangement. There's not much room for that, but they most likely will do 4 chords. That's the easiest. And they're going to write these chords here. So a lot of exciting new things they're learning today, as well as dictation, which is an important part of a musician's skills. And, of course, they're getting ready for the musicale next week. Please make a point of putting it on your calendar so that you will come to the musicale and enjoy all the fruits of their labor in the past 5 weeks. See you.